Recording is on.
Hola a todos, welcome to the weekly developer call. We are waiting for John to uh, join join the call when his internet is better. So let's do a recap of all the squads on everything that has been happening the last week. I think not too much because it was New Year's Eve, so everyone was taking some days off to spend time with with their friends and family. But I want to do a demo of the signed votes feature that I've been working on DXbiz. So maybe I can start with that, and later we can do a recap of the rest of the teams. What do you think?
Yeah,
Sounds great.
let's see it.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, share. How they share the here screen share. Tire screen. I share a link to Ross to sign a vote on a proposal on Excite. I don't know if you were able to do it, Ross.
No. The preview build was just loading.
Okay.
You can hear me clicking through my ledger.
Okay, I'm going to do it myself now. So this is what we have right now. I'm going to go through all the process of signing and what the current risk of the implementation that we have right now. We are signing raw messages on using the Ethereum account, which it is not safe. The safest things to do is to sign type messages like I'm going to show here. Let's see, this is EAP 712. This is what you're going to see. Signing this message is dangerous. Only sign the message from sites you fully trust. Yada yada yada. And now you are going to see this. So you have to sign on your own risk. I'm going to try to show as much information as possible on the DXbiz before signing, but it is not safe, right? So it is not ideal, and this is what we are going to be seeing soon when we work on the new DXD voting machine. We are going to sign type messages where you are going to be seeing like, I signed the vote for this proposal using this reputation on this network. So you are going to be able to verify what you are signing. So the current implementation is not safe.
Augusto, when you say signing the message is not safe, is that the same? Like, does that mean when we sign messages on Snapchat, like that is also not safe, or is that the safe one?
I haven't used a snapshot, but I don't know. I don't know if a snapshot shows you what you are signing. But here, what we are showing is the hash of the object that you are signing. So you need to. The only way to verify it is you hash it on your own using some tool or your client, or I know, programming something, right? So it is very hard to verify and to check what you are signing with the current implementation. And this is what EAP 712 fix, which is it's a standard to sign type data. And this is what we are going to be. I don't know if a snapshot shows you that. Is if when you sign on a snapshot, you see something like this on MetaMask, is because it supports EAP 712. If not, you are signing raw data, which is not safe. Because, for example, I can right now when Ross is signing a vote, I can add something on the signing, and I know make Ross sign a transaction to still order funds. So this is not safe, and this is what we don't plan to use this in like in the final version of DXbiz, but this is what we have right now. And when we work on the next version of the smart contracts, you are going to see what you are signing, which is way safer. So what we have here is a signed vote that it was shared on Rinkeby network. What we are doing here is signing the vote and then signing the transaction that we are going to share on Rinkeby. So we are going to have to sign twice. And this is the message logger smart contract where we are going to be broadcasting the both signature. If we go, for example, to this transaction and we go to the logs, here the logs, we see that what we log is signed vote and the address of the voting machine, the proposal ID. So this is we can log any string, and what we are logging here is the type of the message. Is like broadcasting a message on a test network. Right now we are using only Rinkeby, but we plan to use other protocols later in the future, like for example OrbitDB or maybe Swan, where you will only need to sign once, right? So to sign here right now we have only the Wi-Fi icon. So if you cross it, it's that you won't be sending the transaction on the network. Later we are going to change that. We can use whatever icon you want. But here confirm both signature. I already signed it, but I'm going to repeat the process. Once I click confirm, I'm going to see this. You see, signing the message can be dangerous. This signature could potentially perform any operation on your account behalf, blah, 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 blah. But now what we are signing here is a vote that is hash.
What chain is that on?
Sorry?
You said that's on Rinkeby or NextDie?
No. Now, what we are signing is the raw transaction that we are going to be sending on Rinkeby. So we are not sending on Rinkeby. We are signing the raw transaction and broadcasting it to Rinkeby directly. This is why here, for example, we have to sign other message.
So what network are you logged into right now on MetaMask?
DXbiz. Right now, I'm on DXbiz, but I send the raw transaction, and you're going to see that once I do this, let's see, but
so you're using across you even though you're on XDAI, you're broadcasting something to Rinkeby. Is that correct?
That is correct. Exactly. That is what is happening.
Never knew you could do that. Cool.
Yeah, I think the front end is receiving the signature. Like it doesn't matter what MetaMask is connected to because it's all EVM, right? So it doesn't matter where you put create the signature on which network because they are all the same. So the front end is receiving the signature and then it put Augusto, do we have a keeper who's receiving the signature and then does the Rinkeby transaction?
What? No. We are doing the transaction here on the application. What we do, we sign it and we use the default Rinkeby provider. When you switch to Rinkeby, we are using the one from Pocket Network. So we are using that one, and we send the raw transaction there.
Got it.
And this is what this.
Who is we send the raw transaction?
The front end.
Me, I just send it.
Wait, you created the signature, right? And then you passed it to the front end, and the front end did the call, used Pocket Network to broadcast the transaction with the signature.
Exactly. So what I need to do is to share the signature somewhere. And this is why we are using Rinkeby, to use this smart contract in Rinkeby, to use Rinkeby testnet network to share signatures. But ideally, you will only have to sign once, and it's going to be a type message. Later in the future, we can add, for example, where do you want to share? Let's see, you have a checkbox where you select OrbitDB, Swarm, IPFS, IPNS, Rinkeby, or you select everything, and you share the signature everywhere. So once that happens, you will see the sign vote that is going to appear here once the transaction is shared. Because here, what we are doing, every time that you load a proposal, you are going to see the signed votes that is being loaded. Let's see. Later, we are going to improve this because right now, every time that you load a proposal, you enter, you see here it appears, signed vote. And what you can do, that you can do it only on schemes that use DXZ voting machine, which are the only the wallet schemes. So the only wallet scheme that we have in XI is the quick wallet scheme, the version 1.0. The version 1.1 is going to be registered. And I can execute the sign vote. Right now, I'm executing the vote myself, but maybe someone else here can do it. Let's test that. I'm going to share this here. You can enter to this link, log into XI, and execute my sign vote. And we are going to see that this is going to go all the way here. So let's see who can do that. It's going to take time to load because it's a deployment preview. And you can also sign votes here if you want. You're going to see exactly what I saw. Or someone else can sign the vote. Maybe it doesn't work.
Augusto, can you just repeat? I got lost. Like you signed a message. You signed a message, yeah, and then that just like goes on to Rinkeby. What's the next step that like goes to confirm votes, or what are you doing?
We listen to the transactions we listen to the events on this smart contract. That is the message logger.
Yeah.
And we grab all the messages related with this proposal
that have been signed. That have been signed so far. Just signed messages. So you say 5 people signed messages.
Yes, if 5 people sign it, we are going to see 5 votes here, and you can send it to confirm, and this is going to be on chain. This is going to be like the on chain votes. So let's say you have a wallet scheme that you need, like 5% on boosted proposals to be executed. So you can sign votes for free, and later if you see that you have, like 15% of signed votes, you can select the votes that have the most weight, and only execute like 3 or 2 votes to reach that 5%. So okay, someone executed a signed vote here, and it appears as confirmed, as you can see. Now this should disappear. It's going to disappear if I reload, which is a known bug. I'm going to fix soon. This is the draft, right? This is a draft pull request. This is what we are testing right now.
So John did an on-chain XDAI transaction in order to turn the signed Rinkeby votes into on-chain XDAI confirmed votes.
Positive, and he did it with my vote. He didn't vote it. He just executed my vote. So here we only need to execute a few votes, right, to make the proposal pass. But we can have a lot of signed votes. Everyone can sign any votes as they want for free. And you can, hopefully we're going to see a lot more people voting because it's going to be free, right?
What happens if no one puts it on chain, like confirmed votes with the proposal?
It just stay there. If the proposal ends and the signed vote wasn't confirmed, right? Later we can change the name. I will use like votes on chain and votes off chain or something like that. We need to work on the naming, right? But you need to execute. This is just a way to say, for example, on mainnet, this will be super useful because we can have, like 10% of votes and signal the approval on something, and only do one, and only confirm 1 or 2 votes.
So Augusto, I'm open the link, the IPFS link you sent, and if I press the green thumbs up under signed votes,
you need to cross the Wi-Fi icon.
I need to press the Wi-Fi icon?
Yeah, it needs to be crossed, like off.
Oh, that's confusing. So then that means, okay, so then that will only do the signing instead of a transaction.
Yeah, it would it won't broadcast a transaction, only the vote.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Let's see. Are you doing that?
Yeah, I'm signing right now.
Okay, let's see.
I signed as well, but it didn't.
It wants me to
it's not
sign
showing.
twice.
Yes, twice.
You have to sign twice?
Yes.
Why is that?
Nothing to worry about here, Sky.
Why do you
Trust
sign twice?
Augusto. Trust him.
No concern with any of the funds that may be on that.
It's the
Make
same.
sure you're
it's the
using
same
your main
signature
wallet.
twice. Or is it different?
Yeah,
What?
why twice again?
One. Oh, so just press the button. Yeah, one of them puts it on Rinkeby, and one of them's doing the actual signature, I believe.
No, they're both signatures. But why would you, it's just, it looks like it's the same signature twice.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just different things.
Wait, what are they, Augusto, though?
One is the vote that is signed, which is the most important one, and the second one is the signature of the Rinkeby transaction, because you are sending it with your Rinkeby account. And actually, I think it might fail because you need...
It worked.
It worked? Okay, but you need Rinkeby Ether in order to work? Okay.
I think that's why mine doesn't show up. Yeah.
I have Rinkeby Ether, and it did not work.
Oh, here is Sky.
Wait, hold on. Why?
Oh, Sky's worked.
I'm not doing a Rinkeby transaction. Why do I need Ether?
Yes, Sky, you are signing the Rinkeby transaction there.
That's the second thing that you're doing.
That's the second thing.
I'm doing an on-chain transaction, even though I'm only signing a message.
Exactly, because every time you send the transaction, you are actually like building the transaction, hashing it, and signing it. So here we are doing that process. I mean, it's not like that is how it works under the hood. So I do that under the hood here.
So I mean, one way to think about this, and I think you already said this, but I'm just kind of repeating it to see if I understand, is we're using Rinkeby as the way to communicate signatures, right? Like you could actually send them in other ways potentially, right?
Exactly. Yes. That's why the second signature is needed, and I mean we won't need in the future. Hopefully, we can have that option, but hopefully we don't need.
Sky, were you using a hardware wallet, or because
No.
mine isn't working?
No, but so everyone needs Rinkeby ETH in that wallet address, even though you don't even know you're doing a Rinkeby actual on-chain transaction.
Yes, exactly. That's another blocker. But
and
again,
you can see why this is a dangerous feature with signing votes.
Yeah,
or just signing things. Yeah, there's a lot of trust.
I mean, I don't think this is like a production. I don't think this is going to be used on production, right? I think this is like a, I don't know, like an MVP. I think ceramic is the way to go. Like the UX is like just so fucked. I'm not sure if that should go to on production.
I think the Rinkeby sharing is like a useful thing for us to use, and likely the like Orbit DB or Ceramic or something's likely what we would use for sharing in guilds or in like not DXvote internally.
Actually,
Augusto, shoot.
Yeah, the issue now, Kero, is that you don't see what you are signing. Once you see what you're signing, when we support EAP 712, you can use Rinkeby. But I think it will be our latest option, like our last resource option. First, we should focus on, I mean, this was the simpler thing to do because I did it already like in the past. So I just need to show you guys how it will work. Right now, in the future, it will be, again, only sending one message that is going to be the same vote. Are you going to see the data? And it's going to be spread using Ceramic, OrbitDB, IPFS, Swan, everywhere, right? And we can use Rinkeby as well if you want, which is actually like the more robust because it's a test network that it's always working and you can share anything there.
Yeah, I see the main issue that users need to, like, we hide a different network which is used to aggregate signatures. from the user, and then we actually need to tell them, hey, you need like Rinkeby ETH to do something, right?
Actually, we can send Rinkeby ETH to all DXDAO users. I can get all their addresses and send Rinkeby ETH to everyone, like 0.1 Ether on Rinkeby, and that will be enough to sign, I don't know, like 100 votes. So
is this?
But in the future, could we also have like, I mean, we could also do the signature of the transaction on XDAI, right? So the UI could just read the balances of the user doing the transaction on XDAI, Polygon, Rinkeby, and whatever else, and then decide where to do it depending on whether or not the user has a balance. Is that correct?
No, because it needs to be executed on the chain it's happening on. It all needs to come back to that chain at some point. We could share things with XDAI, but then obviously you're using.
But now it's
the
happening on
money
XDAI and we're signing on Rinkeby, no?
Yeah, but it always needs to be like added back on to Rinkeby. Like it always needs to be upgraded to an actual on-chain vote at some point.
And this is mainly would be used for mainnet, right? Because you don't need to
yeah,
vote on XDAI, right?
yeah, exactly.
I guess Arbitrum as well should be nice.
Is the cost of verifying that a transaction is legit lower than doing a vote on chain?
What do you mean, like verifying a transaction?
Like clicking that blue icon with the arrow that goes to top, that moves it from signed votes to confirmed votes.
Yeah, this is a bit more expensive than voting, right? But you can do a batch of signed votes to confirm votes, which is actually like lower the gas that you need. I guess that if you batch 3-4 votes in signing to confirm, is going to be maybe even less than doing 4 votes separated. So yeah, a lot of work here, but this is a working prototype. It's going to be improved later, right? So this is the first, and we are only using Rinkeby, but we are going to use other protocols. And I think the exciting thing for this is that it enables like sharing or expressing your vote at cost zero.
Pushes the vote to XDAI on chain. Then you have the you have the risk, you have the security of Rinkeby, right? Isn't this all based on the security of Rinkeby?
Yes, exactly. This is why I like Rinkeby, and I would like to improve a bit more this.
Secure.
Yeah.
Right. Rinkeby is not that secure.
I mean, it doesn't need to be secure. It needs to be how can we call it? Redundant, like be up, like that. It doesn't need to have any downtime, and we need to be able to have the signatures and the data there available.
Yeah, so this relies on the Rinkeby network in order to get the transaction, right? So if like Rinkeby were DDoSed or something, then we might have an issue, right?
Or if the
or like
on Rinkeby decided to change the
51%
vote,
attack.
right?
No, so a 50.
But you can't change the vote because the vote is signed with your private key. So
yeah, exactly.
No,
you can't. I mean, you can always sign on chain. Also, this is just a feature to. I mean, if it goes down, worst case, you sign on chain. You vote on chain.
If you have 51%, you can roll back.
Yeah, but you cannot alterate the vote because the vote is only can be executed with the cryptographic signature. So
I see.
The only way
so
to
the
change,
signature is only valid for the specific vote the user actually did.
Exactly. Yes, you can't change the vote, and because that signature signs a hash of the vote on chain, so the only way to generate that hash on the voting machine is by voting for a specific proposal ID from a specific voter within a specific amount. If you do a minimal change there, the hash is going to be different and the signature won't work.
But I guess like if we would use Ceramic or Swarm, it would be just one signature, right? basically
It would be,
just
yeah.
the on-chain signature. Wait, yeah, the vote itself. The signature would be stored on Ceramic or Swarm.
Exactly. On Ceramic and Swarm, I mean, I think the best thing to do would be to provide like a checkbox or something on this where do you want to share the signature, and you can share it like everywhere, or only on one place if you want. And then on the more places you share, you are. I mean, you know that it's going to be available.
So I thought the whole thing with Snapshot was that like all those signatures, which can't be changed, are like held in a centralized place. Here we're just holding them on Rinkeby, but like then you're saying once you bring those signatures on chain onto like back onto XDAI, no one can manipulate them because they're all signed by private keys. So does it matter if they're stored on Rinkeby or in a central place?
It does matter because you have control over the distribution of the signatures. What happens if you only are sharing signatures that you want to share, right? Because you're trusting someone with the signatures. Here we are sharing
Exactly.
on the public network. So
Yeah, it's a public database, verifiable. Like
Mhm.
Snapshot, there's an Amazon server, and the voters talk to the Amazon servers, and like no one knows shit about what exactly is going on.
Gotcha.
It's pure trust on Snapshot servers.
Exactly. So that was the demo. I hope you like it, and we are going to be improving it, hopefully a lot now in the future. Yeah, the idea is to have it available on XDAI soon once we have the quick wallet scheme 1.1 and start signing messages there. On Arbitrum too, this will be available on Arbitrum because we are using the DXbiz voting machine there too. So yeah.
So this would be is this correct that this would be like currently we're doing a few proposals on mainnet and then we mirror on XDAI to like do a separate proposal that like lets you support the thing that's happening on mainnet, but then like one person votes on mainnet. So if we had an important proposal that's going to be on mainnet, we could, once this is on mainnet, we could get everyone to sign we just need the proposal on mainnet. We get everyone to sign and then we do one push to move it all into on-chain vote on mainnet, and then it passes, and then that allows like everyone to vote cheaply and easily on mainnet. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, in fact, we can reach 50% of votes in sign voting, right? And then execute that 50% all at once if we want on mainnet. It will be very expensive, right? But at least we will ensure that, okay, we don't reach 49% and everyone spend their money voting. Like we only spend it once we are sure that the proposal is going to be executed.
Wait, Augusto, if 20 people sign messages and then you do one transaction to push all 20, is the cost the same cost as 20 on-chain votes? I hope
Exactly,
not.
yes.
But
Yes.
it is?
Yes, but at least you are sure that, for example, let's say that you need 20 people to sign and only 19 sign and everyone like spend money on gas transactions, right?
Because you have to call the same functions, right? Like 20 times in the way it's.
Then
Could we?
That's not saving. That's not cheaper then.
Right. So, but couldn't we later on develop new contracts that would support like a batch? Or would we still, yeah.
Yeah, actually, the DXbiz voting machine supports the batch, but well, it's a fork of Genesis protocol, so it's not optimized yet. It can be optimized a lot, and hopefully in the future we are going to be spending less gas on this. But the good thing there, again, that let's say that you need 20 votes and 19 and you have 90, and that's it. The proposal finished. Everyone of the 90 votes spend gas on it. So here you can be sure that once you reach 20, you spend like all the gas for it.
But Augusto, so normally we'd never get 50% on mainnet. So if we assume we're never going to get 50%, we actually only want one person signing a message. We don't want 10 people signing messages on mainnet because then that's more expensive than just one person signing it.
But you could, I think you could just verify one vote at that point, no?
No.
Yeah, you could choose to just do one.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's just
You don't
Dave's
have to
ETH
batch them.
anyways.
You don't have to batch them necessarily. You can just verify one as long as it
So
passes.
you let 15 people sign, and then you only push one of them to
Which is very close to what we're already doing when we run like the proposals on both XDAI and mainnet, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have the choice though. If we wanted to, if we decided, oh, this is important, we want all of these to appear on chain, we can take the. It's then a DAO decision on if we want to spend the ETH on that, right?
And
But I
then
guess
people
there's-
vote again.
it doesn't make anything
You'd have
cheaper.
No, it makes it.
Yeah,
it
no,
gives
that
you
was the
more
question earlier,
participation.
Um,
it's not really more participation though if the votes are not executed, right?
But they're executable is the important part, right?
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit better than just doing it on a separate.
Yeah, it's
proposal on
obviously like
XDAI
the
because-
the best option is always going to be like, oh, if we could get everyone to vote on chain, then that's great. That's like the
So-
best option. It's the most secure.
so what
but it's
happens
not
if
realistic?
10 people vote yes, 2 people vote no, and then you push 2 no's and 1 yes on chain?
And so presumably any of those other people, if the UI is intact, right? Anybody else could come in there and execute the other ones, right?
Yeah, it would rely on people
Yeah.
pushing the
But then
votes.
that's back to the same process of just doing on-chain votes, like up to the point where you don't want to get attacked or something.
Right, but like optimistically, this would only happen like rarely or maybe never, right? It's like
Yeah, I guess it's kind of making the best case scenario better. The worst case is always going to be expensive gas.
I would agree. I would say it is better than what we are currently doing. It is not ideal though, right? Because if like where are those signed votes basically is like when you actually want to look at the security of it.
Better maybe, but it's way more complicated. Like you need ETH on Rinkeby, you need all this stuff, and people already don't know how to use the current system, and this is more complicated, right?
Well, I mean, if I'm comparing it to running to like what we're doing where we have an important proposal, we put it on mainnet and then we also put it on XDAI to make sure that there's like better signal.
Which is pretty easy.
Well, that's easy, but I think this is also like, I mean, from the voting perspective, you would just, because you don't have to use Rinkeby, right? We could use XDAI. Like, so it would be like very similar to that in a way, right? And you could do it with one proposal. It does get more complicated when it comes to what's actually getting executed on chain. But I guess in theory, the UI could simplify that. But again, it's like not fully secure because like you're, well, actually, you know, if you're using XDAI instead of Rinkeby, now you're kind of get the security of XDAI. Then you're kind of just relying on, I mean, the part that I'm a little uncomfortable with is like, you know, in the event that somebody does need to execute other people's signatures, and that's like critical to the proper accounting of the vote, they really will need the UI to do it, right? But yeah.
Like
I mean,
if
we
you-
could have
This
bought.
could be a plug for Federico's thing, right? Having automated like upgrading of the votes to on-chain.
Yeah, like keepers.
Yeah.
Jolt network.
But you don't
We
want
can
to.
also-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can also incentivize the execution of the votes by giving a very small reward on Ether. So you know you only need to have enough gas to pay the cost, and you're going to end up with, I don't know, like $5 of Ether or something like that, just because you executed the vote.
That ends up being more expensive overall on transaction cost, though, right? Though it would be easy to remove that from the user, right? I guess. Yeah.
Well, just now, like internally, it's easy enough to just add it to the like gas refunds, right? That we do every quarter.
Yeah, like we could use Gelato to schedule like I don't know, 5 minutes before proposal ending. like
But
a transaction.
I don't understand the importance of, or like the benefit of scheduling here, because I thought the idea of more, we're talking about more is like not having to spend. Like the main reason people aren't voting on mainnet is the cost, right? So I think what we're trying to do is get people to show their votes without having the same cost. So scheduling, you still have to spend the money, right?
Yeah, that's right. Like I kind of combined like Lutsi's keeper network with like scheduling. Over like at the end of the day, we kind of don't want that voters pay for it, right? Someone else should pay for it, and that's probably the DXDAO or like
So
the guild.
so here's the example. Let's say that you have 5 proposals on mainnet. One is from John, one is from Hero, one is from me. I enter on mainnet. I select I select Shero, John, and other proposal on mine, and I say, okay, I want to vote for all of them and only share the vote, only sign the vote, right? I do it and I share 4 signed votes for those proposals, and you guys do the same. And I go to my proposal where I'm interested, and I'm interested on this being executed, and I execute the signed votes there, right? And Hero does the same on his proposal, and John does the same on their proposal. And you enter on mainnet, you select on a batch which proposal do you want to vote, or you do the votes. You have like a shopping cart or whatever. You have all the votes there, and then you sign all of them, and you spend nothing, and you have 4 executable votes on mainnet. Later, anyone who is starting on the proposal or who is keeping the DAO healthy is going to be executing these signed votes. And we are already doing like a over refund, right, on mainnet. On the next refund day is going to be, we are going to be refunding more than the gas cost, right?
No.
Not more, but more than we usually do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so almost all of it. So it's going to be still very cheap. And we can also have like a special gas refund for executing sign votes, because it's going to be a bit more expensive than the sign votes. So we have 4 votes, and the only ones that are going to, maybe not all of them are going to go on chain, which is going to end up with me spending less money and later have to wait on a gas refund to happen. So the idea is to start automating that, to spend less money and do more governance actions. This is the resource. You can use it or not. I mean, whatever you want, but you have this option.
Yeah, I think it's still very cool, and I think when we actually do optimizations, it will become useful, right?
Also, John, for example, Milton, Luli, I know new developers. Maybe they don't have like 500 ether to pay for gas transaction to vote on mainnet, right? So
yeah, I was going to say, like, I don't think I would vote on a mainnet proposal, but I'd happily sign something, even if it wasn't going to get upgraded necessarily. Like, I would still vote on it if it was just signing.
Yeah,
and most people we see from like, even from asking people to make like rep syncs, we got questions like, but isn't voting free? Because people are so used to Snapshot, even when it's X amounts of money, like a 1/10 of a cent, they still are like questioning why they need to pay that, just because they've gotten so used to Snapshot.
Yeah, like our goal, like I don't think this solution will be successful if we can't like have at least the same experience as Snapshot. Like it should be one signature, and people shouldn't care about anything else. Then we actually succeeded.
Yeah, I agree with all that, but if we're talking about mainnet, somebody still has to pay that cost, right? Which would be DXDAO or something, right?
Yeah, I guess at that point, it's a question of is DXDAO willing to pay the cost of having people voting for the the gas fees?
I mean, we already do that, right?
Yeah.
But it's done in a way which sort of minimizes the expenditure, right? Like there's still like some friction for people to vote, and like so how it generally is working out is you'll only get like the minimal amounts of interactions on mainnet.
But
so if you
but
made
if
it free,
proposal,
yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
but if a proposal has 20% positive votes and none against, you could just verify one on mainnet, right? So the cost would be the same. Like you don't have to verify them all if there are no votes against, no?
But who is doing that? Is that an individual or is that like the
Yeah,
It can
true.
be
I mean, yeah, I
either.
guess anyone
Likely, it would be
anyone could.
the DAO, but an individual could do it as well.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it is good to have that extra signal, right? Just to, like you said, only execute the minimum necessary to get the vote. It's not perfectly secure, but that is useful.
So the way we're doing the mirrors is a really good way to already get that extra signal. Like it doesn't matter that it's on XDAI because the other ones are on Rinkeby, right? And all you do is have one person vote on mainnet to pass the proposal, and then we already do the signal, which is very easy and fun on XDAI, and that's better than Rinkeby. So we're already solving the same thing that we're trying to solve right now.
But I would
guess
say it's
the
really nice
difference
if
is you don't have
have a
the
I don't think
proposal.
it's any better. It's on Rinkeby.
It is because, like, if you upgrade it, then it's better.
If
You don't have the option to upgrade something from XDAI. XDAI is separate. It doesn't actually mean anything.
What do you mean upgrade? So
like you can't make it an on-chain vote.
Yeah, so
on
if
mainnet.
you want to say everyone actually this proposal is being attacked, everyone go vote on mainnet, and we all go vote on mainnet, and that's what we do. Right? We already do that, and that's the same cost.
That's like a lot less secure, though, right? It requires people paying attention to both.
Well, I mean, even with the new system, you'd require people to pay attention. But I do see potential, like the UI could have one proposal in this case, right?
So if there was a way, and maybe Augusto said this is possible in the future, if you could take all of the signed transactions and it was the cost of putting all of those on chain as one transaction that was one price, that is then a good system. That is more like, safe snaps where everyone signs on snapshot, which I know is not secure, but then like you don't like move all the snapshot votes onto on chain. You just let the answer like do one action on chain unless it gets overridden or something.
Yeah, and what you're paying for on chain, right, is that's why we have gas, right? Is for the computation. So if you're doing 20 votes all at once, but what you're actually doing on chain is just calling the vote function 20 times, it's like the same computation, right? And it's going to be like roughly the same cost. We might be able to optimize just how that works, but I feel like what is needed, and I don't know technically exactly what would be involved here, is like some way to actually like roll up all of the votes.
So I'm pretty sure the way you do that, and this where you should listen to this Starkware podcast, but I think if you use Starks, you can basically take all those votes, those individual votes, and like condense them down into one little tiny thing. This is like what Vitalik always talks about. And then you use that to put that thing on chain, and it's verifiable that that little tiny thing is representing, and it's provable representing all of the signatures basically. And so maybe we need a snark expert, but I'm pretty sure that solves that problem, even though I don't know how it works.
I mean, Sky, you just described what I did.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
What just happened? Wait, what you just demonstrated, Augusto?
That, I mean, the vote is verifiable on chain on a public network. So it's basically like, if you want to call it a snark signature of the vote, that anyone can verify it and it's going to execute a vote that has been previously signed and nothing else.
But condensing all of those signatures down into one little tiny thing that then goes on chain. I think that's
But
how
you can't do that,
off,
I think,
right?
because the way the DXD machine works, right? Like if you want one address to vote, you have to call the vote call on the DXD machine, right? And if you want 20 addresses to be there, you have to call it 20 times. And like John said, you can maybe batch it up and make it a little bit more efficient, but for one vote, currently you have to do one call to the vote function, right? So
yeah, I think what Sky is describing, though, I feel like that should be possible to accomplish with some kind of tech. And And I don't know, I posted a blog post from Element Finance on how they're using, I think it was Aztec actually. They weren't using it for votes, but they were talking about like combining transactions and kind of netting them out, right? So like you want to take like basically what you want to commit on mainnet is simply the result of the vote, right? And you want to actually like do the tallying of the 20 votes somewhere else, but it needs to be, cryptographically verifiable, and that's where I think these ZK
Yeah. So
tech comes in. But I don't
yeah.
understand that.
So Starkware, and I think Ross, you met them. I introduced you to them. They presented at the Taoist at ETH in Lisbon, and they presented what's called Stark Vote. And Stark Vote is basically verifiable condensed signature snapshot voting that is provable and cheap. Like that is what Stark Vote is basically. And so that ties in really well with what we're trying to do here, I think.
So they have a product that they're calling Stark Vote.
Yeah, they presented it in Lisbon.
Yeah, because that would be really interesting to maybe evaluate. Like, I think we'll probably have to modify the actual voting machine to interact with that, I would assume. But
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that can be done. It's just a market tree of votes, and you regenerate the signature, and you do the votes for all the signed votes in the market tree. So yeah, that can be on. You just need to write the Solidity code for it, which implies changing the DXZ voting machine, which we have to already do because we need to. So very interesting. This is something that we can do 100%. We can use marketing for votes, and we can have the same or better experience than a snapshot for sure.
yeah, if we could like add that feature for governance 2.0, I think that would be like pretty incredible, actually, right? Like if we could get scalable voting along with everything else we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, and I think
100%.
the ad stack example is a perfect one, right? Because what they do is also aggregating like DeFi transactions and then like put them once on chain, right? Which is also crazy. But if that is possible, I mean, votes are also possible on chain votes.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I think that's the future, right? Because it accomplishes the user experience of Snapshot with the security of mainnet, I think. I mean, you're relying maybe a little bit on that layer 2, whatever is doing that like aggregation, but
And it's I think it still costs something. Like I think like 20 cents or something.
yeah, there'll be some cost, but I think like if it really was down to the like execution of a single, proposal, I mean, I feel like the DAO should be willing to cover those costs, right? And keep it almost free.
Great work, Augusto.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Sorry, I was cutting out earlier too. I guess we're almost at the hour. Did you guys already talk a little bit about Swapper? And we don't, is it?
Nope, we haven't.
Anything you want to sneak in here at the end?
There's actually nothing we worked on that is worth mentioning, but yeah, I think I don't know if this is dev related, but taking a look at the tokenomics a little bit and the distribution we talked about, and I think all of us has the same feeling here. The priority of the distribution right now might be a little bit wrong, and obviously the price is going down. This is something expected. So just looking at competitors and what is people doing here on other projects, just keeping up with what is working actually, and there is something that is being a more and more popular right now, actually, like super relevant for now, and it is this kind of vested tokens, and we already planned that. So I'm taking a look at that and trying to find at least like 3 people that can be advisors to us that can help us with the tokenomics and yeah, find a way up again for Swapper token and give relevancy to it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's great. It definitely feels undervalued with what it's doing price wise. So it will be interesting to play with some other options there. Um, cool. Yeah, running out of time here. On Carrot, I wanted to mention briefly. I think the 3 campaigns have now concluded. I haven't looked at the Carrot UI yet. There was. I don't know if we call them issues per se, but there was some hiccups on the agave campaign. So one of the things, and part of this is, I don't know, Luigi is kind of his own like kind of freight train, right? And he kind of went ahead and did everything, and we didn't really even have much in the ways of discussions ahead of what they were doing. And one of things that they wanted to do was they're getting the incentive rewards from Symmetric, which is the balancer fork on XDAI / Gnosis Chain now. But the problem was that since they had deposited their LP tokens into the Carrot farming campaign, Symmetric, the way they're distributing their incentives is to like airdrop it to the LP token holders. So they airdrop their rewards to the Carrot campaign, and the Carrot contracts are not like don't support like removing random ERC20 tokens. So I think Luigi added that feature in a PR. It's a good idea to have, sort of an oversight. I wouldn't necessarily say like totally our fault there, because it was kind of using it out of how we had initially envisioned, but never like to see anybody losing funds there. And so I think that'll be a good feature to add. And then in addition to that, another there was a little bit of a screw up in how the agave campaign was set up. And it was set up using integer representations, I think, of the range, which I mean is fine on the smart contract level as long as the Oracle reports it that way. And I think the assumption was made that reality would not convert integers in the UI, but it does, right? So the result of that was that the Carrot campaign actually was not, in reality was not successful. I think the average like TVL and agave was something like 2 million, but the Oracle, I believe, I haven't actually gone and looked at it myself, but I was just looking at what Luigi and Federico were talking about. It didn't, it resolved it as like I think a fully successful campaign. So now anybody who is farming that can actually go and redeem their carrots for the full rewards, which was sort of not how it should have worked.
Because of the integers, it came out bigger than like the 10 million.
Yeah, I think reality basically reported, like as far as what the campaign is looking at, reality reported something like, 10 to the 16th times bigger or something.
That's bad.
Right. So it's important that like the way format is used when you create these campaigns. And our mode of operating right now is to be helping people create these campaigns. So I don't know if this would have happened if it was somebody else who was like, hey, like actually like wanting us to do it, but like Luigi kind of went ahead and did it, right? Like with like minimal support from us. So
I think one good next step, and we talked about this briefly, would be another use case of Carrot that we would use for ourselves, and we should take some money, and we could do a proposal for this, put it into like longer term Carrot tokens, like maybe 1 year based on swapper price or DXD price, maybe swapper price, something that's reasonable, like 25 cents or something higher than where it is for like 1 year, and or maybe a range, and gift those Carrot tokens to maybe everyone that's used Carrot, even including agave people, just maybe small amounts or something, but some Carrot gift, like airdropped, distributed to all the wallets that participated, just as a kind of like sign of good faith or something, plus another interesting use case of Carrot, and just so that people don't.
I think we should
like Carrot sucks, right? Like,
this is like a customer service business thing, right? Like we should try to do something to make people feel like at least we're acknowledging where things didn't work out. Because I think the DXDAO campaigns, again, I haven't looked directly, but I'm not aware of any issues with them. But of course, like the swapper price one was very far from being successful at all. So people weren't getting anything from that. Another feature that Luigi was talking about adding is a minimum reward, right? So it's sort of like you could still have the lower bound, but below that lower bound, it's just always this minimum reward.
Yeah, so I guess the whole point of Carrot was always to use it layering on top. So really what we wanted to do and what we did is your minimum is normal swapper reward, and then your bonus is the Carrot reward. So there is already a minimum that can easily be embedded in the campaign, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the way we were using it, like that, like we were already giving out swapper rewards. So this is, I mean, I think it's an interesting feature though, because you could condense it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you can accomplish that just by how we were doing it. With them, it would be more difficult though, right? Because they weren't using, like it's easy to do when you have a dual reward capability like we do with swapper farming. But if you don't easily have that accessible, then it might not be. I don't know. Maybe Agave could have done dual rewards pretty easily through their UI. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, part of this is like there's issues we need to fix. We can improve this. Part of it is like there wasn't a lot of coordination either. Like I think, maybe we could have avoided some of it if there were more coordination. But
and so the swapper TVL one, which if you go to Carrot campaign, like it looks really nice actually, but it was settled in the range. I'm wondering if you can see the exact number that it settled at. I don't see that, but it says that it was partly reached and 31.06% of the collateral is unlocked. So it was basically, probably around a little over $1 million. The range was 800,000 to 1.5 million, and it settled at 31%. So whatever 31% in up through that range is like 1.1 million or something is where the TVL settled, assuming that is correct. And so you can now redeem those tokens for some amount of swapper, which is cool. Cool. The one thing is it says like reward if KPI is reached.
Yeah, there might be some feedback on the UI, and so you should definitely.
So if reward if KPI is reached, that would mean like if the full top of the range was reached, I guess. And so because only 31% was reached, you get 31% of what it says is if KPI is reached, which is interesting. I mean, at least it paid out something, which is a cool. I don't know if it's good enough for a case study. We wanted to like hopefully come out with some case studies from these three.
Yeah, I think we are learning, which I think that is part of it, right? Like, I mean, to me, the goal is learning, and I think we are doing that. Yeah, maybe we're not quite to the point where we can like write it up yet, right? Maybe
so
we need to make a couple of tweaks.
Maybe we should. I think
still
we should
write it up.
Write like it would not an article, but a forum post like looking back at our two campaigns at least, and just having some conclusions, and then people can add their own conclusions in the forum and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It should be something somewhere because like it'll show that we're evolving this and learning and moving along. And there's some other things we were talking about on the swapper call yesterday that I think are interesting ideas that we should also probably be talking about somewhere. So I'd be happy to help put some of that stuff together. All right, let me see. I'll stop the recording.